Hello again, fight fans. Now we're going to talk about the other big heavyweight fight there in Saudi Arabia on Saturday on the Zone. And that's, of course, the fight between Filip Hrgovic from Croatia and Dynamite Daniel Dubois, the Brit, that somewhat resurrected his career in his last fight. If that's a fight that you are as intrigued by as I am, then stick around. Okay, along with Zhang and Deontay Wilder, we have another very intriguing heavyweight fight there on the card, and that is between the IBF mandatory contender Filip Hrgovic from Croatia and the suddenly resurgent Daniel Dubois of Britain. Now, the fight might have been for the vacant IBF title, but from the latest that I can see as I'm doing this video, the IBF is going to grant Alexander Usyk an extension to do the Tyson Fury rematch. I'm very happy if that happens. It's good for boxing that the undisputed title remains intact. Even if I strip that title from Usyk, who cares really? We know Usyk is the champ. But nonetheless, whether there is a belt tag to this fight, a lot is at stake. Of course, Hrgovic is a mandatory IBF contender. If he wins this, he's going to get first shot of a winner between the Usyk and Fury rematch, or at least fight for a vacant title. I'm betting he'll get first shot. But he is rolling the dice of his position fighting Daniel Dubois here. Now, Filip Hrgovic and Daniel Dubois were part of a group of young heavyweights that sort of came up together. It was Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce there in Britain. It was Tony Yoka in France. It was F.A. Ajagba from Nigeria. It's based there. It was Frank Sanchez as a sort of a dark horse. It's not really favoured. Came in to beat Ajagba, but he's now lost some ground there against Caballero. And these were the sort of a young heavyweights that everybody was looking at. And among them was Filip Hrgovic. And to me, he was a dark horse. I was very high on Filip Hrgovic. I thought he would be better than Yoka, Dubois and Joe Joyce put together. But as usually happens with fighters, as they step up, things become harder, you know. And then Filip Hrgovic had to battle to get past Zhilei Zhang. And back then, we didn't really know how dangerous Zhang was, you know, because he didn't fight really anybody major before he fought Hrgovic. And Hrgovic was dropped, he was rocked, and he really had to scramble to get past that fight. And then against unbeaten but untested Aussie Dempsey McKean, he also, you know, rounds that he really didn't look good. And eventually he just got it together and he took McKean out. Now, is Hrgovic not as good as people like me originally thought? He's got the height, he's got the reach, he's got all the physical tools, he can punch, he can box. That's why I like Filip Hrgovic. Now, Daniel Dubois, for his part, was considered the better prospect by most between him and Joe Joyce, but when he lost to Joe Joyce, damaged, got some eye damage, I think he cracked an orbital bone, and they pulled him out of a fight. He resurrected himself somewhat. There was a very wonky moment in the first round against Kevin Lerena. Then he fought Usyk. He started off okay, but eventually Usyk stopped him. And in his last fight, it was a last stand against the big baby, Jarrell Miller. And, you know, all you say about Jarrell Miller, all those PEDs and everything, he's a big, broad, strong guy, and he puts a lot of pressure on you by his presence, marching forward and throwing punches. And Dubois there, for the first time, showed me that he can overcome adversity when he's not the front runner in the fight. You know, Jarrell Miller gave him a bit of a gut check, made things difficult for him. But Dubois pulled through it, and he lasted until late in the fight, and eventually he stopped Jarrell Miller in, I think, the last round. So that impressed me about Daniel Dubois. His stamina seemed good there. He showed a bit of heart. But against Filip Hrgovic, he's going to have to dig even deeper. But on the other hand, Filip Hrgovic, if he fights, I think, sort of like a daisical, as he seemed against Dempsey McKean, I think he can be upset here, and then Dubois, of course, will be next in line for the big one. So that is what's going on here. Guys, please take a moment and smash that like button. I'll greatly appreciate that. But we've got to see who's going to win, and what does Hrgovic has to do. Hrgovic has to use, he's got the height, he's got the reach on Dubois. He's going to have to be on point, work the jab, throw the long shots, and just chip away against Dubois until Dubois finally, you know, starts running out of gas and he gets win. For Dubois, he's going to have to put some pressure on Filip Hrgovic, the same way Zhang did early on and a few spots later in the fight. He's going to have to put the pressure on Filip Hrgovic and not get caught by those uppercuts or the right hand. He's going to have to put smart pressure on Filip Hrgovic, and he's going to have to hurt him. Hrgovic can be hurt, as we saw in the Zhang fight. Dubois, for everything else, he can hit as well. He's a big puncher. So that is what Dubois got to do. He's got to put smart pressure on Hrgovic, got to go upstairs, downstairs, and he's going to have to use his power to make Hrgovic think twice. And Hrgovic has got to use what he's got, his height, his reach. He's got to use the long shots and try and bust up Daniel Dubois. Now, who is going to win? Guys, tell me in the comment section, who do you have? Filip Hrgovic, I think, is the favorite. Do you think Daniel Dubois can post the upset here over Filip Hrgovic? That is the interesting thing. Now, I think Daniel Dubois is a very live dog in this fight. If I'm a betting man, which I'm not, and I don't know what the odds are, I would take a few quid on Daniel Dubois to spring the upset here. I think it's going to be a good fight, and I think Dubois is going to bring his A game here. He knows, it's his last shot to stay relevant. If he loses this, then maybe a rematch with Joe Joyce is in his future. But Filip Hrgovic has got a lot to lose here, much more so than Daniel Dubois. Because, as we've said, he's going to go for the big one if he gets past Dubois. So, if he's not on his P's and Q's, then there's something wrong with him or something wrong in his camp. But this is going to be enough against Daniel Dubois. Well, I don't think Hrgovic has got quite the skill level of Alexander Usyk to put away Daniel Dubois. But he does have size. He is one of those big heavyweights. But Daniel Dubois, Joe Joyce, was very busy. So he put and Dubois fought in fairly even terms with Joyce until the time of stoppage. So Joyce, I think, was very much busier than Hrgovic, and I think Hrgovic has more your conventional quick power. He's quick with his punches, whereas Joyce sort of clubs you. So I don't think Filip Hrgovic is going to inflict the same facial damage against Daniel Dubois. I don't think that is going to happen. But on the other hand, I don't think that Daniel Dubois will put the same physical pressure on Filip Hrgovic. He can put the boxing, the punching pressure on him, but he's not as physically heavy and imposing as Zhang is to sort of move Hrgovic back. So I also don't see that happening. So it's a very, very difficult one for me to call, but I'm going to stick my neck out here. I think Filip Hrgovic, to me, he only puts it together in spots. And Dubois, even though Jarrell Miller was really not on the same level as Hrgovic, but he handled that pressure. He came through a mental thing. I think Dubois' confidence is going to be there. And I think both will have their wobbling moments. I think there can be a knockdown apiece. But I think Daniel Dubois will be more consistent with his punch output throughout the fight. And I'm predicting that Daniel Dubois will sneak a close decision, maybe a split decision over this 12-rounder against Filip Hrgovic and score the upset. Guys, tell me in the comment section, who do you think wins and why do you think they win? And also remember to share the content. I'll greatly appreciate that. Remember to subscribe. Enjoy your fight Saturday in the zone. And thank you for everybody who interacts with me here. I enjoy the comments. And until we see each other again, remember to keep those hands up.